What's up, everybody? Jason here. If you've never seen this channel before, normally I'm on here on a Zoom call with my friends Joe and Cramser, and we review music together, we rank discographies, all sorts of stuff like that. And recently, Joe and I did a review of the new record Blue Rev by Alvvays. If you've seen that review or you follow this channel at all, on our social media or anything, you've probably become aware of the fact that Joe is in love with that record. He has all but named it his album of the year already. I fully expect it to retain that title. I, on the other hand, do like the record. I think there's some really good songs on it, but I don't quite get the fuss that some people are making over it. So I thought I'd come on here and recommend a couple records that I think are better than the Alvvays record, kind of in a similar vein, sort of that like indie guitar pop, not quite power pop, but really catchy, hook-driven, melodic rock type of stuff. The first one I want to highlight is a record called Chopper by Kiwi Jr. They are a Canadian band as well, and they put out a record, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, called Cooler Returns, which got a lot of positive reviews, and I saw a lot of people talking about it. It made some end-of-the-year lists that year. And now they've got a follow-up record out, and I have not heard anyone talk about this record. It's called Chopper, and I think it's great. I think it's more of, the same sort of thing they were doing on Cooler Returns, and it's really good, super catchy, kind of 90s alternative sounding guitar rock, and probably more so than the other record that I'm about to talk about. I think this one, stacks up pretty well lyrically against the Alvvays record. I think lyrics are a real strong suit of Alvvays. I think Molly Rankin's a really good songwriter in that sense, really good lyricist, but there's some really clever, funny lyrics on this. I love the line, "I run and hide, but it's like trying to get out of someone else's car in the dark." Just a lot of clever lines on this record. Really interesting type of songwriting. Musically, I hear a lot of like Pavement in their sound. I also hear maybe like some of the Rentals. It's got a real 90s type of sound. They do throw in some occasional synths, which are really cool, but it's not like the big like 80s kind of synth beds that a lot of indie acts are using. They're using the synth usually as a lead, playing a melodic line, and I think it works really well for their sound. The next record that I want to highlight is by a band called Sobs. And the record is called Air Guitar. They're a band from Singapore. I know Joe listened to this record the other day. He liked it. I think he gave it a pretty strong star rating, but he said it sounds like Alvvays, but by 14-year-old girls. So I do see what he's saying, but from my perspective, this record just has so much youthful exuberance to it. It's a real hooks first kind of record. The hooks are killer. I think every song is so catchy and so memorable. And then the thing that really pushes it over the top for me is the drum production and the drum sounds. They sound huge, massive. The kick drum just has like this really big, fat, but tight sounding low end. I will say you can hear some decidedly uncool influences on this record. Can pick up some like early 2000s pop punk, maybe some Avril Lavigne, maybe some like Michelle Branch. There is a Gwen Stefani cover as a bonus track with this record. But they just rush into these sounds with such enthusiasm, and they just crush it. I think their sensibilities are just so impeccable that they can take sounds like that and morph it into something really cool. And there's just a really infectious embrace of pop music on this record. The record cover, instead of just having the band name, says "The Sounds of Pop Music from Sobs." So there's a real affinity for pop here, but it's balanced really, really well with, I think, an equal measure of guitar. The guitars are really prominent. They sound great. The guitar tones are great. There's some really great leads, melodic lines. The solos are really catchy. So I think the album lives up to its name. The album is called Air Guitar, and I think this is record that's worthy of that title. It makes you want to play along. So in closing, the thing that I want to say about both of these records, and where I think the Alvvays record falls a little short, is just in the overall sound and in the production. The Alvvays record, to me, sounds very modern. It's very dense, and it's very compressed. It's a loud record with a lot going on. And these other two records have more of a 90s sensibility to them. They are a little brighter, and I think the melodies and the guitar lines and things like that cut through with a little bit more clarity on these records. So yeah, I think the dream of the 90s is definitely alive here in 2022. Let me know what you think of these records. If you haven't heard them yet, go check them out. You know, I was taking some friendly jabs at Joe here and his love of the Alvvays record. But, you know, if you love that Alvvays record as much as Joe, to not be too antagonistic, I think you will equally love these. Just more good guitar pop, which we've certainly been starved for in recent years. And there's some really good ones coming out these days, so check them out. Let me know what you think of them. Which one's better? Who's right? Me or Joe? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.